You know, there's this deep-seated belief we all have, right? That when you shut and lock that front door, you're safe. The world is out there and you're in here. Your home, it's your fortress, your sanctuary, the one place you're supposed to be completely, totally safe. Well, today we're going to dive into 3 true stories that will absolutely shatter that feeling.
Yeah, we're going to look at some firsthand accounts of what happens when that feeling of safety just evaporates, when the danger isn't just outside your door, but maybe right next to it, or even scarier, already inside. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? How well do you really know your own home?
All right, so our first story kicks off with what sounds like a total dream scenario. Picture this. A couple loves their neighborhood so much that when the bigger, better house right next door hits the market, they just buy it. They sell their old place to what seems like a perfectly normal couple. But as you can probably guess, that sense of normal doesn't stick around for very long.
And what's just wild about this whole thing is how fast it all spirals. I mean, it starts with things you might try to ignore, right? Bizarre noises, heavy banging, loud music at midnight. Annoying, but whatever. But then, it jumps to a supposed break-in. The thing is, the doorbell footage looks really sketchy, almost like it was a setup. And then, get this, just a week later, it's a full-blown, violent heist. We're talking a car crashing through the garden, guys grabbing electronics, a police chase. And the cherry on top? The neighbor comes back all beaten and bloody and tells the cops nothing. He won't cooperate. And believe me, the chaos is just getting started.
So here's the crucial moment. Later that same night, who rings their doorbell? The bloodied neighbor. He's trembling, he's a mess, and he just drops this bombshell. He cheated on his wife, and she literally sent people to take him out. He is so terrified that he begs them to let him sleep at their house. Now, you can imagine they want absolutely nothing to do with this. They refuse, but they do offer to drive him to the hospital, which seems like the right thing to do.
And this is where it gets truly terrifying. They drop him at the hospital, they go home, they lock every single door and window. But at 1 a.m., the doorbell camera pings. He's back. He's ringing the bell over and over. Then a car drives by and he just panics, diving behind their cars in the driveway to hide. The narrator is just sitting there, in the dark, watching this broken, hunted man lurking in the shadows just feet away. At that point, that feeling of safety, it's completely, utterly gone. Okay, so if that first story was about a threat moving in next door, this next one brings that threat right up to the window. This one feels way closer, way more personal. I want you to imagine you're a teenager. Your bedroom is on the ground floor, and it's got this huge window that looks out into the backyard. Now, on the wall opposite that window is a closet with these massive mirrored doors, so that window is reflected in them. No matter where you are in the room, the outside is always, always in your line of sight. And for years, starting when she was just 15, she'd hear things at night. Shuffling noises, footsteps. Sometimes she swore she could even hear breathing right outside that window. She'd catch a glimpse of a silhouette in the mirror's reflection. But every single time she told her parents, they'd go check, and nothing. They told her it was just her imagination. You watch too many scary movies. So eventually, she started to believe them. She tried to just convince herself it was all in her head.
So this goes on for years. I mean, she actually learns how to ignore it, sleeping with headphones on, making a point not to look at the mirror. And then, one night, there's this really heavy windstorm. And just before everyone goes to bed, her dad decides to step out into the backyard for one last check. And as he's out there, just scanning the dark yard, something catches his eye. It's the light from his daughter's bedroom window, casting this faint glow out onto the lawn. And that little bit of light is just enough to cut through the dark and reveal something that absolutely should not be there. And there he is. That faint light is illuminating a man. Just standing there, motionless, right outside her window, staring directly into her room. Her dad screams, the man bolts, and just like that, in a single instant, years of her being told she was crazy, years of self-doubt, it all evaporates. It was real. Someone had been watching her the entire time.
Okay, our final story. This one takes that idea of an invasion of privacy to its most extreme, most terrifying conclusion. It starts out pretty normal. A family moves into a new house. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, but they got a great deal on it. They fix up the basement, and it becomes the narrator's bedroom, a space that she eventually shares with her brand new baby sister.
So one night, her parents are out and she's home alone, just watching TV. And then she starts to hear these odd noises coming from the baby monitor in the kitchen. But they're not baby noises. They're loud, heavy footsteps. And they're coming from her basement bedroom. Her blood just runs cold. Then her sister starts to cry, and through the speaker, she hears this faint shh sound. Someone is down there with the baby. She runs and grabs her father's rifle. It's unloaded, but it's all she can think of, and she heads for the basement. When the police get there, at first they find nothing. But then her dad remembers something odd, a bookshelf that was just embedded in the wall. He asked them to check it out, and sure enough, behind it, they find a secret door. And inside there's this small, hidden room. And what they find in there is just chilling. Food wrappers, a cup that had vanished from their kitchen, lotion, a switchblade, and a half-eaten apple that was still fresh. Someone had been living inside their walls.
But believe it or not, that isn't even the most horrifying part. A few days later, the narrator goes into that secret room herself just to see it. And that's when she finds it. A tiny, drilled hole in the wall. And when she puts her eye up to it, she realizes it points directly to her bed, to her dresser. He wasn't just living in their house. He was watching everything.
So you have a violent neighbor, a watcher in the dark, an unseen roommate. I mean, each story is so different, but they all tap into that exact same primal fear, don't they? The violation of your sanctuary. This is so much more than a simple break-in. It's a psychological attack. It's that deeply uncanny feeling when something familiar becomes menacing, when the place you thought you knew best is hiding secrets you can't even begin to imagine. You know, these stories really show us a pretty uncomfortable truth, that our sense of security, it's often just a story we tell ourselves to feel better. I mean, think about the girl who was being watched. Why didn't her parents believe her for so long? Because the alternative is just too terrifying to even consider. It proves that the biggest dangers aren't always the ones we're trying to lock out, but the ones that have already found a way in, hiding in plain sight, or literally within the walls. It leaves you wondering, what creak or shuffle will you dismiss as just the house settling tonight?